Alrighty, what's happening people? Jason here, and what we're talking about today is this $150 video camera slider. Alrighty, qualified certificate, product name, camera slider, made in China, GVM Photographic Equipment Incorporated. I mean, here it is. Feels pretty nice, feels pretty weighty. The camera trolley doesn't feel shaky or anything like that. Do a little inventory for the accessories we got in here. Got charger, a European adapter for the charger, remote, a little free snack for you to munch on while you're unboxing the rest of this. Charger brick. Oh yeah, it's got rechargeable batteries, which is nice. This looks to be battery itself. Take this cable to act as the bridge between the slider itself. Alright, what? Oh, this goes into the slider. Between the slider itself and the controller. I'll put speed to 100%. Hope I don't regret this. Excellent. Thought it was auto mode. I mean, it's honestly really quiet too. Seems really smooth. Although there's no weight on it, no camera as of right now. But if I had to take a guess, I feel like it would work pretty well. Alright, so there's definitely been a learning curve that has happened since those clips that you just watched of me unboxing and kind of trying out this slider right here for the first time. That was before I had a base tripod for this guy. It was actually before I even bought the tripod head, and so it was really just the slider by itself, which at the time, you know, it was a good deal to pick up. I think it's good value for this length of a slider and for a motorized one, and one that's really, as that part of the setup, done its job well. But what I really didn't know at that time was how to utilize it correctly, how to pair it with other accessories and really get an overall good look and good shots, content out of this, what did become a combo of gear. And so today I'm really going to talk about what I've learned in the last couple of months since I bought the slider, started adding things onto it, really gained more experience with it. And today's video is going to be talking about that. So we're going to break this down into 3 tips. The first of which is to not worry too much about the speed of the slider. And what I mean by that is when you're sitting down with the slider in front of the scene or in front of the subject, to kind of think outside of the box when it comes to the actual shutter speed you're shooting in right at that moment, because you can double things, triple things, quadruple things in post to really get back to a normal recommended shutter speed of twice the frame rate. But me shooting 30 frames per second, oftentimes in my dorm room, which of course has kind of a dark theme plus color going on with it, or downstairs in the game room, which is also pretty dark, oftentimes on micro four thirds, it's difficult to get to 60 as the shutter speed with the camera. And so what you can do is really having the shutter speed on the camera be 30 frames per second. Potentially you could even do 15 and then speed up in post to 2x speed or 4x speed respectively, and just get back to that recommended shutter speed or effective shutter speed of 60. And of course you can throw it in as a speed ramp. Let's say 30 frames per second shutter speed, you speed it up to 2x, you can still jump up to, let's say, 500% the initial speed for a speed ramp effect, and then just slow it back down to 2x speed, which is effectively 60 FPS, your shutter speed, back to your normal run-of-the-mill shot. My next tip is to not disregard any piece of the whole slider tripod setup. Not the tripod head, obviously not the slider itself. You couldn't really take that out if you wanted to and still have a slider setup, or the base tripod that's not present right now, but you've seen it in previous videos, you're seeing it in B-roll right now. And sometimes it does seem that there's things you can take out of this setup and still get relatively good results. You know, for just left and right camera facing this direction shots, you wouldn't necessarily have to have the tripod head because you put it on a main tripod, a base tripod, you can tilt this way, you can pan all with the tripod underneath and then just go left and right with the slider. But you do want this tripod head if you want any more flexibility past that, because you're going to need it to get you a little bit of height off the sliding distance of the slider, because otherwise you're real down low near here and you have a very limited range of view to where you don't see this at the very far back position of the camera. So basically, very important to have this right here. And then even with the main base tripod, you might think that you're only doing product shots. Let's say you have the slider right here, you put a object down here and you're thinking all you need is just to kind of rotate around the item. That's the only kind of shot you're going to do. It may be so for a certain period of time, and you may be okay with just, you know, having everything on the same plane for now, but eventually there's going to be a time where you want to back things up and you don't have any more space on the table or the surface you're working on. Or let's say you confine yourself to like establishing shots in a short film or something like that, where the entire slider is on the floor. Eventually you're going to want to lift things up and get more angles, maybe do a 45-degree kind of shot where you got the slider going this direction. You're eventually going to want to open up your horizons, if you know what I mean, and it's going to be required that you be able to get this guy up off the ground, put it on a tripod where you can adjust the height, the angle of the slider, and do all those crazy things that you're going to want to do with this setup. And then last but not least, my third point would be, don't be afraid to get your hands into things and kind of use manual motion as a supplement to the motorized motion. And you've definitely seen me use this as kind of a rotating around type of shot, where I have, let's say, a phone on a desk and the slider's going left to right, but I'm also rotating the tripod head, or sometimes even the entire slider, to give you the effect of rotating around the object. So the phone is in the middle of the shot consistently, but you're getting a different field of view as you rotate around it. And that's accomplished by just using the slider to get you that left and right motion. And often what I'll do is just rotate this guy in the most stable manner that I can, and just keep the subject, the center of attention, in the center of the field of view of the camera. Just get the best results that way of this genre of shot that we're talking about. And then you can, of course, apply this in other situations. You can have this guy, again, a 45-degree angle. Let's not run that into the end there. And then also have it pan at the same time by attaching the little, can't see it, but there's a mount on here for a handle or for a stick. Not sure what the technical name is, but you can attach that on the end and kind of pan at the same time as you go up and down. Really opens up a lot of possibilities utilizing motorized motion plus manual motion. And sometimes you get kind of, you know, apprehensive about it, or it's not going to apply in a particular situation because if you're doing a speed ramp, the shakiness or the unevenness of human motion just gets exaggerated, and you don't want to do that with the speed ramp, or the lens you use for this particular situation doesn't have stabilization, or even that the tripod head with this guy up here, or the tripod head on the main base tripod doesn't have fluid motion with it. In any of those situations, this might not work, but really just think about it. Especially if you have not already made the purchase and decided what tripod head you want, what base tripod you want. If that's the case for you, definitely consider that and take that into account with respect to this step, this third tip of utilizing human motion with the gimbal. So yeah, those are my three biggest tips over the past couple months. Really me going from a very amateur slider user who maybe saw the occasional Jonathan Morrison feature in a best tech video. I saw one where he had this much smaller slider that he used the camera directly mounted to on the floor, or just, you know, seen it used in various tech videos, various styles of videography, and going from that to someone who actually has put together some pretty smooth and aesthetic motorized slider enabled shots. And appreciate you for being here today. Hope you got something out of me rambling about these three main points that I've learned about my slider over the past couple months. See you in the next one.